welcome to the LaunchPad, and thanks for coming out on a President's Day weekend. I really appreciate your time. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you too. I'm so happy to be here. It's good to be back.
Family's well and good?
Yes, yeah. Hopefully, sister will be coming here next year.
Oh, great.
But yes,
Awesome.
good.
You guys have a big Westmont lineage. Your dad was an alum, and I love telling the story. I'm going to embarrass you a little bit.
It's okay.
But you know it's coming.
He already does.
So I cracked up when I called your dad. He and I were about the same time frame at Westmont, and he had to come down and to talk to my marketing class. And he came down and came into the classroom and had, I think if I recall right, he had a street clothes kind of like mine on. Starts talking to the students and starts talking about appearances, and then gets up onto the desk a la Robin Williams in Dead Poets Society and begins to take his clothes off. And I thought, where is this going? To reveal that he had a suit and tie on underneath, which just blew everybody away, but he was talking about that. And I remember looking over at you because you were in the class. I thought, okay, what is she doing? How is it? Was that just part and parcel of the whole Jeff Crosby
Yes.
thing? You're used to that?
Yes, I had no idea, but I mean, knowing him, something was not gonna be normal. Something was gonna go. It will embarrass me, and he did not fail. So that will be remembered forever.
That was the first. The first time I had a guest speaker unrobe in class, so only to have a suit on underneath, that was quite a thing. Well, speaking of dad, alumni dad, and your pathway to Westmont, tell me, how did you kind of go, yeah, that's where I want to go? And then was having your parents, your dad being an alum, was that a deterrent or a plus? Or just kind of walk me through your pathway to Westmont.
Yeah, so I think if I'm really honest, my dad, knowing that he's from Westmont, before I'd even visited or had come to Santa Barbara, I immediately thought, there's no way I'm going to Westmont. Heck no. But then, of course, I came and I visited and I talked to Coach Smelly, and it really was just love at first sight, honestly. And I think coming from a private Christian high school to here, I loved my experience in high school, and I felt this was going to be not the same, but more of the around what I would want, and what I loved about high school would be also, the values I would have that were here as well. So, in knowing that I could run as well as also be a student, just drew me here, and just the people and having some of other family here was great as well.
Awesome, that's great. So I always love hearing people's sort of trajectories and how one thing leads to another, and they connect the dots. It's fun to hear those circumstances. So let's switch a bit more to sort of your time at Westmont and thinking about sort of the summer jobs and or internships you had. What are some of the things you took away from those experiences?
Yeah, so I think I didn't have an internship until I was a senior in, well, let me think about it. It was the summer going into my senior year, so because I was going to do the downtown program.
I see.
And so I started my internship earlier as opposed to starting it when the semester started, and that was for the Zia Group, real estate company in town. And so that was kind of my first exposure to, really a business culture, and a really, really good one as well. And so the Zia Group, Daniel Zia, he's an alum from here, and so that was really helpful in just having that for about 6 or 7 months as opposed to just a 3 to 4 month thing. That time frame, that longer time frame, was really helpful to get acclimated and kind of into a groove. So that really helped me. And then Rick Ifland, the business chairman at Westmont, he one day in senior summer, I remember him saying, you can actually collide your passions with what you're good at and what you're interested in. And so really it was when I thought about, or it's once I took time to reflect on that and took time to actually figure out what my passions were. And he always said, what are those things that you could stay up all night talking about? You could talk for hours about. That really, really hit me. And it was my love of basketball and my love of sports, and realizing, maybe I could have a career or could have a job in that. And so that's when it kind of took off, and I was able to go pursue opportunities and people to make that happen, or could see what that could look like.
Tell me about some of the things you did day to day with the Zia Group, and what are the things that you kind of took away from that? Get a little more specific about that particular experience.
Yeah, so I remember the first day, I had a list of names and companies to call, and to see if they needed, if their contact information was still valid, and to see if they still would like to be part of would want us to refer them, essentially. But that required me to cold call them.
Oh, wow.
And that was so scary. I mean, I've never done that before, first real internship.
Oh, wow.
And so that really has helped me in my job now, because all I do is cold call. And so because I had that little experience then, I was even just a little bit more confident in doing what I'm doing now. And I think too, just being a self-starter. The Zia Group at the time was in a period of transition, and so with any kind of business, transitions are tough, and you can't be micromanaged. You have to figure out what to do on your own, and so that was hard, but that was really helpful in being a self-starter in my position now.
It's funny, when we were talking about the metaphor of showing up to the beach every day because you never know what the tide's going to bring in, and your experience with Zia Group and being confronted with cold call. I want a cold call. I want a cold call.
Yes.
And you start cold calling, and then next thing you know, you realize that it's not the end of the world. It's not. It's different. You didn't think you'd probably use it at least initially, and then all of a sudden you're in this role, which we'll talk about in a second.
Yes.
But that's an exciting sort of thing to realize. Oh, the things that I think are difficult, they're a little bit out of my comfort zone. But was that sort of the gist of your takeaway on that?
Yeah, exactly. It's just you gotta just do it, and you can't think about it too much. And I think especially with cold calling nowadays, our generation, we're so scared to even just get on the phone with our good friend, let alone call a stranger.
Yes, it's easy to do that.
Exactly. And so that, I think, just really helped in knowing, okay, so this is scary, but I have to do it. There's really no other way to get around it, because I can't text them.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna have to do it. And so just really just a matter of just forcing myself, like, this is my job and I have to, and not waiting until I get something else. And my thought was, okay, the faster I get this thing done, like the faster I don't have to do this anymore, get on to the next thing. So
great.
that was really my thought process.
Well, pivoting a little bit, so you commented a little bit about this process of melding what you kind of like to do and with Iflin's class in your senior seminar. Back up a year, so you say you're a junior at Westmont. Did the urgency to think about the day after graduation begin then, or was there a light bulb moment, or was it more of a slow build? Tell me how that process where you went, I got to figure out what's next.
Yeah, so I think really in second semester of my junior year, I did start to think about that more, like, oh my gosh, at this time next year, I'm going to have to figure it out. And I really did want to push it out of my mind, like, oh, I have a whole year to figure it out, like, I'll just wait till then. But, that fear really is what kept me thinking about it and not putting it off, because I didn't want to graduate and not have anything lined up yet. And so something that I really did not like about my dad at the time, but now I'm really thankful for it, is he really was hard on me and pushed me to have a job lined up right after graduation. And even though I was running, and there was the stress of senior year, and I remember even junior year, there's so much going on, I couldn't even really think about a summer internship. But making it a priority, even doing just a little bit of research and trying to figure it out, I think helped so much. And I was able to graduate with something lined up. And so, but yeah, I mean, I didn't want to think about it because it was scary, because I didn't have that one thing that I wanted to do. I really had no idea. And, but I think just being really present in what I was doing then was really helpful in figuring out what I wanted to do now.
So did you, you talked about the small steps. What did that look like in your sort of month-to-month progression as you went from this junior to senior to start figuring out those things? Do you recall what some of those were?
I think just talking to you, talking to Rick, talking to Coach Smelly, just talking to people about what they did, what what they see in me, where Rachel Winslow, I mean, having these entrepreneurship classes to see what my strengths are and see what I'm thinking about, what gets my heart going, what gets me up in the morning to pursue and to do the best that I possibly can. And so I think I just have incredible mentors at Westmont who just poured into me and helped me, and because of them I was confident, able to ask them their honest opinion and ask them for their advice, and those little things of what I didn't know that at the time, but looking back now, I mean, you guys shaped me and helped me and steered me in the right direction, and from there I was able to go out and take risks, and I think something in the downtown program that Rachel really harped on me was, because I did the downtown program my fall semester of senior year, and so I was talking to her about my second semester schedule, and she was like, "Noelle, the one thing that you just need to do for me is you need to take at least one risk." And so I've taken that philosophy and have applied it to other areas of my life. Okay, just in this portion of my life, I just need to take one risk. Like, what is that risk going to be? Or, today, like, what is that one risk going to be? And because I am such a comfort zone person, I mean, I could stay at Westmont forever if you let me. So I think those are the little things that let me.
That's a really hard lesson to learn. I'm going to botch the quote, but it's something like, success is not forever and failure is not final. And living between those two things of striving, as you talked about, but also realizing that taking that risk, even if it doesn't work out, you learn through that process that it's just not as final as it may seem. So that's a great insight to come to fruition here. So just transitioning a little bit now to your current gig at the Los Angeles Clippers. That's a remarkable opportunity, and I'm going to read to you an email you sent me a year ago about this. And you said, "Mr. Bradford, I went down to Los Angeles yesterday for an in-person interview with the Clippers. It was a group interview which consisted of 4 other candidates, including myself and 3 other people interviewing us. I was the only female in the room. After an hour and a half of answering hard questions and then preparing a 2-minute pitch, they offered me the job," which was in all caps and 1 exclamation point. Good thing on the 1 exclamation point. Don't overdo it. Well done. Full-time position, and I'm the first female the manager has ever hired. That is remarkable. I read that a year ago and thought, atta girl. That was just remarkable. And so this is looking then and now at that sort of transition. What did that mean for you, and how did you tie all that together with the things that you learned here and the processes and all that process? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, after they hired me on the spot, my dad and my sister picked me up after, because they're the ones that dropped me off, and I was just in complete and utter shock. I mean, I didn't think that was, not that I went down there thinking I wasn't going to get it, but just how fast it happened, and just the whole experience of driving down into LA, and their buildings our front office is like right across from the Staples Center, and so being in downtown LA and having someone walk me to the elevator to go up to the main office, and the woman at the front desk, she was like, "Okay, like, good luck. This is if you get the job, I'll be seeing you for the next 9 months straight." And like, okay. And so she was taking me up, and then the elevator's opening and seeing LA Clippers. I mean, it was just I was just in such shock, and I think coming back and realizing that I had gotten the job was, I keep saying, I was just shocked. And so but thinking also so happy, and really I think the first time that I was like, proud of myself because it was such a risk, and it wasn't from a Westmont community, or someone hadn't connected me, or they didn't know about Westmont. It was just a completely different affiliation, and not knowing what to expect going into it, because I'm the kind of person I like to be as prepared as possible, and not knowing any of those details, and just going in off of like what I knew about myself, and what the questions, that trying to prepare as best I can for the questions of what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, just having those in my mind, and just going for it. And I think that's really what I did. I just went for it and gave my absolute best.
Awesome. That's such a great story. So now you're about what, 9 months in, 8 months in, something like that?
Yeah, 7, 8 months, yeah.
What is as expected, and what is not what you expected?
First, I absolutely love it. Just full disclosure, I absolutely love it, and I am the only female right now in my room. I've been the only girls for about 5 months or so, and so there's 11 other guys, and we're all around the same age, and it is so fun. I love them, and I think though that I really was also preparing for the worst in starting this job, because I just really didn't know what to expect. I don't know what the sports world is like, and I think just the shock of this is really a secular environment, and not realizing, or once I've looked back, I mean, from elementary school to junior high, high school, college, I've constantly been in a Christian community, and a phenomenal community at that. And even for my internship with the Zia group, I mean, we prayed once a week. I mean, that stuff isn't normal, and I don't want to think it was, but that's all I ever knew. And so now going into a place that doesn't pray once a week was just eye-opening, and learning, how people like hope, but there isn't that much hope though. So how do I continue to stay myself within this kind of pessimistic environment, and just the grind of being on the phones all day and sales, and it's just this but having to also develop my own confidence through all of this as well has been an incredible lesson, but incredibly hard.
Good. Well, yeah, that's the mishmash of life after Westmont and the working world, and some days are awesome, and you walk out of there feeling like you're the king of the world, the queen of the world, and some days you just go, what in the heck? So and that's normal. And to be able to speak truth to that is great. So let's switch gears to sort of the basics of, how you're working in downtown LA. How did you go about doing the just the routine things of finding an apartment and a lease and all? What was that process like for you?
Yeah, so I'd never been to LA ever before. Needless to say, it's like a whole different state than, even though it's just an hour away from Santa Barbara. But thankfully, my dad helped me find an apartment down there as well. But to go down, just doing the big girl things in my case, and I really realized it's okay if I don't know how to do this stuff. And I straight up told my leasing officer, like, I don't really know what I'm doing. Can you just help me? And because my dad didn't go down with me when I went to go sign papers and whatnot. But when I said, I don't really know what I'm doing, that's when they were even more willing to help me.
That's
and
great.
They were excited about it. So I think just naming that when I don't know, just saying, hey, I don't know, has been really freeing, because I don't have to pretend. So I'm living in LA by myself, no roommates, trying to navigate downtown LA, and really just comes down to being patient with myself, and giving myself time to walk to work or drive there, and trying to find where to park, and just the little things. And then I work however many hours a day, and then I have to cook meals for myself and navigating that. It's so, I think all that to say is just being patient with myself and, like I said, asking for help, and then coming home and realizing, oh, I don't have any homework. Like, what am I? It is a yes, but also it's like, oh my gosh, like now what do I do? And so that it's taken me quite a while to figure out. I mean, even going to church on Sundays, feeling like I need to leave because I need to go do homework, or I need to go do something, but realizing, okay, no one needs me right now. I don't have to do that. And so learning how to just sit and relax and enjoy the people I'm around has been hard, but good.
Yeah, awesome. That's a great, wonderful thing to think through. Let's pivot back to work just for a second. Before we started the interview, you were sharing with me a story about your Coach K podcast and what that led to. And I thought, students got to hear that, because that's just the curiosity piece and being present and always being thinking and listening. And then, like you said, being able to ask. Mm-hmm. That's such a great skill set. Tell me just briefly describe what that was like.
So just my program with the Clippers is only 9 months, so at some point I have to find another job here soon. So because I'm in that stage right now, I'm starting to look for other jobs, and as many people know, I'm a big Duke fan, and I was watching one of Coach K's post-game press conferences online, and he's talking, and all of a sudden he stops and he says hi to this woman in the crowd, and he starts to go on and talk about her career path and his respect for her, and she ended up working for him on the 92 Dream Team, and then worked for Nike for 17 years, and then is now the director and manager of the men's college basketball championships. And so in my mind I was like, I've got to get to know this woman. And so I didn't feel like I couldn't email her, because I would just probably get sent to her junk box, or if I called her it would be too abrupt, so I wrote her a handwritten letter. Handwritten letter. And just said kind of what I said there, like, I recently heard Coach K reference you in your career path and his respect for you. And I just said, my name's Noelle, and I'm 23 and just graduated from Westmont, and would jump at any chance to meet you, whether that's flying to Indiana or that's picking you up from the airport, like whatever it is, 'cause I know you're busy, I will do it. And so she ended up emailing me just this past week, and said that she's going to be here for NBA All-Star Weekend, and I met with her on Saturday, and she was just phenomenal, exceeded all expectations, and handwritten letters still work.
They still work.
They still work.
In the midst of emails, texts, and everything, that sometimes just the old school ways actually cut through the clutter. That's fantastic.
Exactly. So that was incredible.
Well, that just, again, big picture, it's not much different than asking your leasing officer, how do I do that? Mm-hmm. Most folks want to say yes. Most folks want to help. They get it. They were 23 at one point. So to be able to own it and say, I'm just going to try, and if I wish they could do, the worst you could have done is not gotten back to you.
Exactly.
And so you took a risk, and that's a great story.
I would have probably wrote her another letter again if she didn't get back to me.
Great. I was trying to end these discussions with sort of the quintessential, knowing what you know now, what you didn't know then. What would the Noelle of today advise the first year or sophomore Noelle about all things Westmont and thinking about life after Westmont? Just tell us what you do.
Yeah, I would have to tell myself to be all in my friendships, all in my classes, all in with track and cross country, and because that's when you're able to get the most out of it. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's so easy to start to think about the future, think about that next race, think about what that next job will be, what you're going to do this summer. And that's good at a time, but at least in the beginning, your freshman, sophomore year, just to invest and be all in those in everything you're doing, because when you're one half in, half out,
Mm-hmm.
you're constantly, you want to be there, but then you want to be doing these other things, and you're just not able to get that much out of it or what you would have hoped. And so for me, that's something I would absolutely and continue to tell myself, just to be all in where you are right now, because those things, that job, those opportunities, they will come. They absolutely will. And sometimes when you least expect it, and or they'll just fall in your lap. But if anything, that's what I would definitely tell myself, to be all in.
Well, that's great advice for someone who's 23 and someone who's older than 23 to think through it and live out as best you can. The moments in my life when I've had the most fun, but B, felt the most fulfilled is when I'm, as you say it, all in. You're firing on all 8 cylinders because you're right there in the moment and you're just plowing through it and loving it, and it's great to hear. Noelle, thank you for your time today, and great to see you, and we're excited about what you've got cooking and what you've done, and we'd love to hear how things pan out in the future, so keep us posted.
Of course, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.